Hi, I'm Amanda Beard, 7-time medalist. I get my Aquasphere gear at swimoutlet.com, the web's most popular swim shop. Check them out today.
This is the Morning Swim Show for Tuesday, October 4th, 2011. I'm your host, Peter Bush. In the Phoenix Monitor today, we'll talk to John Dussliere. He's the head coach at Santa Barbara Swim Club. He was also the USA Olympic head coach for the open water team in 2008. John joins us right now in the Phoenix Monitor from Santa Barbara, California. Coach, welcome to the Morning Swim Show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Peter.
Hey, I want to ask you, you've got a good look at the 10K venue for open water next year in London. What do you think of it?
Well, I think it's going to be groundbreaking as far as making it spectator friendly. So many of these races go out to sea and you don't know what's going on. You're relying on announcers and you just have to, even if you're in the venue, you have to create your own visual. Well, here you're going to be able to be in Hyde Park right up against the shore, walking along with the swimmers. I think they have between 4,000 and 5,000 seats that they're selling, so that will be cordoned off, but the rest of it is going to be open like a lake in a park.
So it's essentially like NASCAR in the water.
It really is. It's going to be.
Okay. I like that idea because it's spectator friendly. Here's what I'm thinking though. All of these guys all year long, all 4 years long in preparation for the Olympics, they're doing their events in the ocean. You know, you got to deal with tides and all that kind of stuff. Now you put them in a venue where there's really no waves, there's no tides. It's just like a pool just swimming round and round and round.
Yeah.
Is that really going to give us the best quote-unquote open water swimmer?
Well, I think that the definition of open water swimmer is still up to the experience or the thought of the person thinking it. These international open water athletes, they're going to adapt to almost any course that you put them in, as long as it's a safe course for them. And they're actually looking for this. I asked them in the post-race interviews in London at the test event, what do you think this is going to do for the sport? And Thomas Lures, he just lit up. He said, this is what we've been looking for. So, you know, it's a unique perspective. The old school probably says, oh, it's not, the waves aren't smashing into them, the elements aren't one of the competitors. But this one, I think our athletes are ready to really just compete against each other and against themselves in the venue.
Will venues like this, and hopefully there'll be more of them in the future, keep races closer because there'll be less chances to break away?
Absolutely. It's going to be tight quarters, and there's going to be some turns that they're not used to. So it was pretty valuable for the athletes to be at this race in August. They're going to be very close. Contact is going to be a part of the race. So positioning is going to be important. It's going to be important to be in the front or toward the front so that you're not stuck in a very narrow pack getting bumped into.
All right, so they've got this issue they've dealt with, which is good. Again, spectator friendly. Right. It's going to make the sport more popular. Now we're going to work on this whole selection process thing. I don't know if anybody thinks this is a perfect way that we have it right now, that you've got one event a year before the race, and you got to finish here to qualify. I mean, it's like the A-cut, B-cut thing for NCAA, but I don't know. What do you think of it?
Well, I think that the most positive thing about it is that we know well enough in advance of a somewhat convoluted system of picking our Olympians. I think FINA wants to rein in how many swimmers are in the race. So if it maxes out at 25 men and 25 women, you really can't open it up to all nations. You can give them an opportunity. They also want to really press the importance of their world championships, which, you know, that's also a very debatable topic, and we hope that doesn't spill into the pool too much. But in order to control this size of an event, especially in the venue that we're going to, it's probably the best it can be right now. I think the details of it, the locations that we're qualifying athletes, there are some athletes that are better in colder water, better in warmer water, or just adaptable across the board. There's really three types of open water swimmers. Going to Shanghai in a very warm water venue to qualify for London, which is going to be a cold water venue, I don't know if we have the same group that would be there at the Olympic Games, if that makes sense.
For the men, we have Alex Meyer, who's already qualified, and
Yeah.
he'll be the only American man swimming in the event.
Right.
The women's is still open, and we can have one American woman make the team.
Right.
If Las Vegas did odds on something like that, who do you think the odds-on favorite is to make the team for the women?
Being put on the spot there isn't why I wouldn't give you an answer. I think we're in a place right now where you have some collegiate swimmers from all over the country that are really going to come in and maybe surprise some people. In Haley Anderson, in a couple of girls from Florida, and then you have the standbys, the ones that you know are going to be in the mix. Christine Jennings is going to be in the mix. Ashley Twitchell is going to be in the mix. Eva Fabian is clearly going to be there. So I think there's 5 or 6 women that you can think of offhand, but then we have to have another national championships to select another 2 women to take to another FINA selection event. So who those 2 are going to be I think it's going to be somewhere in that group that I've mentioned.
You've been a long-time coach of Mark Warkington. He was obviously a 2008 open water swimmer.
Right.
I know he was kind of trying to do the comeback here, but now that the Olympics is no longer an option, is he still going to keep swimming?
I know Mark's keeping in great shape. We're not working together any longer. He's going another direction in really pressing himself and working on it alone. He is, I believe, named to the national team with his top 6 finish at the nationals. So he has all those advantages. So he was right there, and he's right there in those races in 3rd and 4th. So, boy, I would hope to not see him be finished completely, but for this 4-year cycle, he has started a family, and Rio is 5 years away. So you really can't predict what he's going to do. But those World Cup circuits are certainly available to him. I hope he takes advantage of it.
Hey, John, USA Swimming recently made their decision on limiting water temperature to 85 degrees. Obviously, all this in light of what happened with Fran Crippen.
Yeah.
How did they settle on the 85-degree temperature?
We took what was some already great work from the commission that came out of FINA that gave us a temperature mark of 31 to use as a guideline. And coming up with something lower, I think, until we have science to back up what the human body can handle at its highest output of these elite athletes, is probably the best thing that we can do. And the debate started at somewhere in the 84s. We were really debating it in the centigrade because they're easier numbers to deal with. But that's the 28 degrees Celsius is what a lot of the athletes were asking to have set as the standard. Not just our American athletes, but some of the rest of the top athletes in the world. So we kind of started debate at that point, and where do we find something that's fair for the events that are already being held in the U.S. and in the world? We certainly couldn't go to 28 if we were going to be fair to everyone. And Alex on our committee gave some great feedback that 28 probably is too low to set as a high limit. And following his guidance and following Dr. Miller's guidance, he really had the best facts for us. And then, with just some great debate, we ended up at 29.5, which is 85 degrees. Some of the race hosts may have to adjust the dates that they host races, as their water warms into the summer. But that sometimes it's hard to do the right thing, and we have to ask them to do that at this point until we get some hard science on what is safe.
Is there a minimum temperature?
I believe it's 16 Celsius, and I'm sorry, I don't even know that calculation. I've been living in the open water swimming world, which is so international. We're using Celsius. But that is set. That's been set for years. FINA even has a low number that a race can't happen, and I believe that's 16 degrees Celsius. So it was really the high temp that we needed to get a handle on for the athletes.
Well, as so often happens, it takes a tragedy for us to focus in and look at the rules for any sport.
Yeah.
We hope that this prevents any future disasters like what we saw with Fran Crippen.
Yeah, you know, nothing good directly is going to come from losing Fran in that individual case, but the situation that happened is acting as a catalyst for us to really probably stand by the athletes a little better than we have in the past.
Well, John, thank you very much for joining us and talking some open water swimming with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that's John Dussliere joining us from Santa Barbara, and that is it for today's show. I'm Peter Bush, reminding you to keep your head down at the finish.